Hello! Welcome to The Healing Artist. I'm your host, Frida, and it is a Frequency Friday episode. Oh, friends, you might notice if you're watching me on YouTube, I am in a different situation today, recording from a different spot. If you're listening, the sound might be a little bit different. And friends, I wanted to share with you that there is an extremely exciting thing happening in our home. And that is I'm having a podcast studio built in my art space, in my podcast room, in my office, the place that I teach from. And this is a wonderful thing, and I have been planning for it for about 6 months, and it's actually happening. Yeah! So happy about this. And, snafu, it's taking longer, surprise, 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 than we thought originally it would. That is what I wanted to talk about today when we do our channeling here with Elisabeth. I wanted to talk about victim consciousness. I was having a conversation with a new friend the other day, and they were talking about learning how to accept life as it comes and learning how to get out of this sort of victim mentality of, yeah, but I don't want it. I don't want that. That's not the life that I want. I didn't choose it. So that perspective shift away from feeling a little hard done by. So I thought we could drop in and ask Elisabeth, what are some ways that humans on Earth can get out of victim consciousness? Yeah, so let's go ahead and dive in. You ask how humans can get out of victim consciousness. Oh, my love, that is one of the great things that humans love to wallow in. Earth, this beautiful 3D home, this 3D place where your deepest learnings can come true, it loves to stick the human into victim consciousness and stay. Generations, millennia, life after life after life, feeling hard done by, taken over, abused, used, taken and roped over the coals over and over again, feeling out of control of one's life, feeling like things just happen, not taking responsibility for one's own actions and the way they show up in the world, allowing yourself to blame, frame, reallocate problems, saying, yes, but I didn't want that. That isn't what I wanted. That isn't what I said I wanted. Taking yourself out of the equation, allowing others to choose for you, giving away your free will. Over and over and over again, these things will return until the human has the ability to say, stop. I will no longer show up for these frequencies of blaming other people, the earth, God, circumstances, money, things outside of your control. When you are able to fully sink into the responsibility that you are the creator of your own reality, anything that is showing up for you in your reality is brought to you by you. You wanted it, you orchestrated it, you ordered it. Imagine that you are on the internet app Amazon. Imagine you are on Amazon and you are ordering what you would like to have into your life. When you stick in victim blamey, lower consciousness energies, then you just keep ordering from Amazon over and over again things that you don't like, and they come and show up at your door over and over and over again. Until you learn to be grateful for everything that you have, until you are grateful for the way your body feels, even when it is in sickness, in maiming, in having not what you like, in overweight, in inaction, in physical dis-ease, in having injury, until you love yourself, love your body, love your circumstances, love your home, whether you have one or not. Loving everything in your surrounding, finding the good, We are not asking you to not dream bigger. We are not asking you to not go towards what you prefer, but there is a level of acceptance of exactly what is that needs to fall into place, to take responsibility for your own actions in the equation, even if it is something that you did in a previous life that is playing itself out now in this one. Karmic trenches, things that happen over and over and over again, they happen until you learn the lesson and say, stop. I will no longer tolerate this, and take action to move yourself away from that which you do not prefer. So, this is not an easy thing for humans to do because people are unwilling to sit in the middle of their shit and to allow themselves to know fully, completely their part that they play in what is showing up in their lives. Until you allow yourself to fully sink into the middle of the trauma that you have experienced, to feel it, to grieve the loss, to grieve through and feel the feelings of devastation, to allow yourself to sink into it and just allow yourself to breathe. We bypass over and over again because humans do not enjoy feeling pain. And yet we say to you, until you sit in the center of your pain, you cannot alchemize your situation, learning from it and turn it into love. When you sit in the center of the dis-ease, you can learn to love aspects of yourself through the dis-ease, and it transmutes the entire experience into love. Let's use the example of what you have gone through, Frida. You had childhood sexual abuse. You have the childhood sexual abuse, and it dictated 24 years of your life. It dictated anger, rage, it dictated self-sabotage, and more experiences of abuse that were opened up to bring it forward over and over and over again. These scenarios played out in your life until you looked it straight in the face, ultimately alchemizing it into love. It took 13 years of talk therapy to get you to the point where you could begin to experience forgiveness. 28 years after the original abuse, you are able to look back at the situation and bless it for what it is. For you would not be who you are, and you would not have begun your healing journey at 11 years old had these things not happened to you. What happened at 5, disclosed at 11, therapy into your 20s. These things all set you in motion to crack open and become the healer that you are today. And who you are would not be here without these early childhood things put in place. Now, something that is very difficult to understand when you are not on the healing path and when you do not see the larger picture is that on the other side, we set our lives up exactly the way that we want to have them occur. Early childhood trauma is set up by you on the other side. These are the things that you do not want to miss. These actions create the reactions that you then have unfolding in your life. They set the stage. They create your root chakra. They create the dis-ease that sits in your root. Sometimes people have a very friendly, loving, beautiful childhood. There are ways in which they want to come into this world and have a solid foundation. And then who knows what happens next for them. But children that incarnate on earth and have early childhood experiences of devastation and incredible trauma, please for 1 second do not think that you are not the one that put these things in place. There is a level of railing against this because your logical mind does not understand. And we would ask you, does it resonate? Can you resonate with the energetic frequency behind the notion that you are here when you are disincarnate, when you are in energy, when you are part of energy and the all that is, and then you come and take a physical incarnation? You have planned the major steps that you want to have unfold in your life. You have planned these things. They are not going to pass you by. And humans come to Earth and they get caught in this karmic trench where they perform the same things over and over and over and over, refusing to fully feel and accept exactly what is. For when we accept exactly what is in our surroundings, when we can learn to love, find loving aspects of what is in this moment, we can begin to transmute suffering into love. We each have the ability to suffer as much or as little as we choose. What aspect of staying in victim consciousness is serving you? What aspect of staying in victim consciousness is keeping you in the loop? There are elements of staying in a lower vibration of victimhood that are rewarding. Perhaps they are all that you know. Perhaps others around you take care of you when you are in this state. Perhaps it is easier to stay in the feelings of blame. Fully accept your body, your being, your situation, the things that you put into your body, the choices you made. Fully accept all of it. For when you arrive at accepting all of it, a window will open and you will see another way. For the lessons of what are cannot be learned until you allow yourself to grieve through what has been lost, what has been temporarily taken, and allow yourself to heal from those energies, transmuting them into love, ultimately looking back at the places where your wounds have been and allowing those woundings to turn into your position of power in which you teach from in the world. Sitting in the seat of your own power, you have put these things in place to become the person that you want to be. So do not for one moment think that you are not responsible for everything in your reality and what you see, do, experience, feel. And when these things have been taken away from you, when you feel hard done by and lost, if you are in a situation where you are being abused, we would say, how can you extricate yourself from this situation? How can you take yourself and turn yourself into better being in a position of power? How can you use your voice to empower yourself to find freedom with your body, mind, and spirit in the world? There is always a way. There is always a way. Life is temporary. Life is short. When you are on the other side and you place all of these hard things in your road, you didn't not think that you could handle them. You didn't not think that there was going to be a way for you to alchemize into love. You believed in yourself, and so did your guidance. We are at a wonderful awakening point in the world. The energy of the universe is aiding and assisting our beautiful Mother Earth in her ascension process, as are those alive on it at this time. And as our beautiful Mother Earth ascends, so do those human beings on the planet. There is access to healing massive amounts of old wounding, old patterns, victim consciousness. You have access to the ability to heal this now. So we would actually invite you at this time, let's do a little work together and do some deep breathing. I would ask you to place both of your feet flat on the floor. I would ask you to sit with your spine straight-ish. And I ask you to place your hand on your heart. Let's breathe together. And as you breathe, breathe into your lower belly. Breathing in, feeling your belly expand. Breathing out, pulling it back in, pulling your navel in. Fully sinking into your body now. Breathing in and out. Humans spend their time outside of their physical forms. You incarnate to feel. You spend your time outside of your body, so we would ask you, we know that it is not the easiest thing, but please pull yourself into your body and feel your feelings. For when you fully feel your feelings, expressing yourself, understanding yourself in the moment, allowing these emotions to not run your life, dictate who you are, but allowing them to be felt, acknowledged, honored, and then pass through your nervous system back into the earth where they're recycled for the highest good of all. When you allow yourself to just be, to be beautiful, bold, becoming whoever you came to earth to be, allowing yourself to just be. There's nothing to prove. And there is nothing that is after you in such a fashion that you need to believe that you are hard done by. We would invite you to sit in the center of your grief, feel your feelings, and get right with what is. And that is what we have for you today. All right, friends, that was pretty fun. I'm going to share a little personal story here. This is what it's bringing up for me, and just an example of this moving through this victim consciousness. So I have experienced in my life victim consciousness around housing. My husband and I were involved in a situation where we were owner occupied, evicted. So we had lived in a home for 7 years. We rented this apartment. It was wonderful. The people who owned it were coming back to live in it. And they said, you have 2 months to vacate. And we lived there 7 years. We had no intention of leaving. In the time that we'd lived in the neighborhood went up. And there were no rents in the area that were lower than $3,000, $3,500 for these one-bedroom or studio apartments. So we couldn't stay in the neighborhood that we fell in love with. We just felt absolutely powerless. It was incredibly traumatic. It was awful. And we were fairly newly married, and this was just one hell of a thing to go through. It was really challenging, and it set us up for this cycle of having issues with housing. So from that housing crisis, we had 2 months, and the rents were so expensive, we thought, okay, we're going to try to buy, because at least we would be paying ourselves back. Because at that point, it didn't make sense to us to dump all of that money into paying someone else. We'd rather pay a mortgage. So we had some beautiful miracles fall into place where we were actually able to purchase a new home within 6 months, which is really outrageous in the Bay Area. There were many miracles that were put in place to have that happen. And also, that was wonderfully my introduction to our intuitive real estate agent, Cynthia Varkavisser, who then went on to become my first meditation teacher and the person who really woke me up on the path in the way that I am now. So, this was one of those situations where it wasn't going to pass us by, right? This was going to happen. Now, the house that we got a condo. The condo we chose was our choice. The condo we chose was Um, it had a lot of issues. And we then, from that situation, ended up learning a lot about housing, construction, working with people, because it was a condo that was a large bunch of units in a large house type situation. So it was only four owners. And holy cazoli, the time that we lived there in a new neighborhood that we completely fell in love with and gentrified around us as we were there, um, that situation taught us about working with other people. We spent the pandemic in an 800 square foot condo. I learned all about managing a crew and HOA calls and all sorts of different stuff because we had a $450,000 cash payment retrofit that we put into this house. Like, I mean, insane stuff, man, that we did with this four other families. We put a new roof on that property. We got a sewer lateral done. We did so much work on this house. We did new pipe stuff in the walls. We sorted out the electric because there was all this craziness in the property because it was actually a moved home. Um, Wonderful stuff in retrospect. I learned so much, but holy shit. Let me tell you how much I felt like a victim through all of that. I didn't want to do any of it. I was angry often. I didn't want to work with these other families, and yet you're put into this situation where you're learning how to navigate all sorts of emotional states, and we're all on fire with all of these things. In that time, there were several turnovers of the home being, the different units being sold to different people, so navigating all of that kind of stuff. It was a lot. It was constant, and it was really intense. The pandemic took place while the retrofit was going on, and that retrofit took 2 years to take place. Now, when we left that place, when we sold that condo, we did, and I learned so much. I regret none of it, but that was hard and it wasn't fun. So we decided we were going to, after the pandemic was beginning to wind down, I really wanted a different place to live. And I had become, in this time, with my meditation practice, with opening up and clearing my channel more and more and more, I was too sensitive to live on top of three other families. I could feel the energy of the different people in the homes. I could not live there anymore. It was a very hip and happening neighborhood, and there was energy everywhere outside the house, and there was a lot of houselessness, there was a lot of drug addiction, there was a lot of nonsense stuff like out on the streets. It was a very hip area in Oakland, and I was too sensitive anymore to be there. And I was like, I need the woods, I need the suburbs, I need to be closer to nature. Because I'd go out and walk every day, and walking on the land was the way that I was able to transmute energy. And I just could not live in the heart of the city in this way anymore. But holy cazoli, searching for a new home, I was in victim consciousness again. When you live in the Bay Area, you work so hard, you're trying to make ends meet with all of the different stuff, and it is insanely competitive and insanely expensive to live out here. The housing is cuckoo bananas, and we got rejected from 6 homes before we finally ended up where we ended up. And it was deeply painful. It was hard beyond hard. Selling the condo was hard. The amount of hoops that we jumped through because we felt so intensely hard done by while living in this condo, because it gave us so much intense learning experiences, we wanted to disclose everything. And as our real estate agent said, we had the most disclosures of anyone that they've ever seen. But there was a level of like, not because my husband felt like the wool was pulled over our eyes when we bought that place. He wanted the next person to know exactly what they were getting, and exactly what they were walking into, so that they understood. And um, it was the most disclosures of anyone ever. Anyway, holy cazoli. Um, we went through that process and it was hard. And my husband and I still victimization with housing. And it would show up in all these ways. It would show up in projects taking longer. It would show up in projects costing more. It showed up in over and over, we weren't bidding high enough. The bids that were like the houses that we were looking to buy are already extraordinarily expensive. And it was requiring things like bidding over $100,000 over asking. Like, that's what we're talking about, the situation we were in. Anyway, we finally got a place. We went through all the stuff. And again, we're landing our home. This home, there they didn't disclose everything. We were still learning stuff. We paid all this money extra over asking. It didn't appraise for what we paid for it, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff, right? Victimization again, feeling hard done by. But each one of these times that these things would come up, each one of these times that I'm on my knees praying that the handyman comes to the house, because like when you work with other people and you're inviting them into the home, and roofers and all these different projects and maintenance humans, you are at the whim of their convenience. And the experience, again, the victimization, the experience that I've had with people that work in this world is good luck. Like, we have had the most insane, shady style dealings with all the different things that have gone on. And there's always some fucking bullshit with it. Like, we had a bunch of windows replaced to get these energy efficiency, beautiful windows, and that have made a wonderful, positive impact in our life. We love our new windows, no complaints. And the person who comes to sell you the windows, top notch, really liked that person. But the salesperson isn't actually who comes to your home to install the windows. Oh boy, that was good. That was rich. So there's we were not prepared for what happened with all of that. Anyway, we felt again victimized, and over again, like these kind of things have fallen into our lap. So, this is an interesting share that I have. I have made a shift out of victimization with housing. This shift was not easily won, and I think that it took time and deliberate over and over again. I kept coming back to the things that I'm grateful for and seeing the good. Always coming back to finding the good. Always coming back to naming the things that I love in the home. And I know I've made a shift because of the following. So we've hired these two women. We're going to call them the handy ladies. And the wonderful handy ladies, we met them around the Super Bowl, whenever that was earlier. They mapped out the project, took the measurements and so forth. And then they, about a month later, they were going to begin the project. And we put a random date on the calendar. And the date kept getting pushed back. That's fine, whenever, just tell me when it's time to clear the room. Because I have to clear the entire room completely empty to build this, because it's a huge built-in structure in the room. So this is my office, this is my podcast recording area, this is where I have my drawing desk to do any of my freelance artwork. And I completely cleared the room. The handy ladies came. They worked for a few hours on one day, they came the next day and they worked another few hours, and then they left and they said, okay, we'll see you in 2 weeks, we're going to Georgia. And it's like, what? So the handy ladies could maybe use a little bit better communication, because I did not know that they were going on vacation. So I have a completely empty office that has just wood and the project set up to be made in the room. And I have been working in the living room first thing in the morning while my husband is asleep. And then I move myself into this small desk in the bedroom during the day to work. And magically, this gigantic 10-pound chocolate Costco viral Easter Bunny box has been exactly the perfect thing to put my computer on, both in the living room and here in the bedroom. So, lucky that. But this is how I know that I've made this major shift. And that is because when they said, "We'll see you in 2 weeks," my reaction is that I just cracked up laughing. My reaction is, oh, my feedback on this would be that they could use some better communication. And then I sort of shrugged my shoulders and I was like, that's life. Guess we'll teach from the living room. Guess we'll teach from the bedroom. What are we going to do? Now, I have to tell you that in the past, I would be kicking, screaming, having an absolute fucking meltdown, threatening to write terrible Yelp reviews, like all the things, right? Maybe not actually doing that, but like that angry and upset and calling my friends and railing against humanity. No, nope, not even a little bit. It's just sort of like, it'll get done. They want to get paid. It'll be beautiful when it'll be wonderful when it's done. It'll be beautiful when it's done. It'll be perfect when it's done. Allow the divine timing of the project being finished to be finished, because this sort of stuff is completely and totally outside of my control. I find it funny. So I have watched myself go from being, I would have been upset, to sort of just laughing and be like, well, I guess you get to see this background. I guess the sound isn't as good as it could have been. Oh well. What difference does it actually make? Who cares? It's fine. It doesn't really matter. What a blessing that the handy ladies are going to make me a beautiful podcast studio. What a blessing that the handy ladies are going to make this beautiful loft bed and all these storage compartments. I can't wait to show you. It's going to be wonderful. It's a blessing. How lucky am I that I was gifted for my birthday the money to make this project happen. What a gift. So I can see how I made a shift, because in the past this would have upset me. And it's interesting because they are the handy ladies, so it's 2 women. And in the past, actually, every contractor we've ever had, and I think I've worked with at least 50 of them, honestly, at this point in the several houses that we've been gone through. These is the first time that we chose 2 women. So I can't honestly tell you if it is a gender thing in a way where women get a pass with me in a way that men do not even begin to. Don't even begin to. I don't get mad at women very often. I'm like, yeah, it's a sister. And that's the truth. So there might be something in that. And there's some work for me to continue to work on my stuff with men. Oh my gosh, friends. So I hope you enjoyed that little share. And I wanted to tell you that I love you. God, universe, source loves you. And whatever you are feeling hard done by about, think about sinking into the center of it, feeling your feelings around it, cry, kick, scream, yell at God, and then accept it. Let it take the time that it takes. It took me 13 years to move through what happened to me as a kid. And then some, and then some. It would come back every once in a while. So give yourself some fucking grace. I know I'm giving myself grace. All right, friends, love you.